What's one of the best purchases you've ever made that has given you tons of value and fulfillment for the money? We all know that saving and investing are key to building wealth, but sometimes the right purchase can pay you back in ways that go way beyond dollars, whether it's improving your quality of life, opening new opportunities, or creating memories that you'll treasure forever. I asked some of my powerhouse women entrepreneur friends and colleagues, many of them running 6- and 7-figure businesses, to share their most satisfying purchases. And their answers might inspire you to think differently about how you consciously spend your money. When you watch until the end, I will share one of my own best purchases that has brought me and my family countless hours of laughter and pure joy, all for less than $20. So tap the like button and let's dive in.
The best value purchase I ever made was my podcast mic and setup. Small cost, but massive ROI in leads, authority, connection, community, and constant content. That little mic has made me more money than most of my paid ads, and I only spent $50 on it.
One of the best purchases that I've ever made technically wasn't even made by me. I remember when I was 16 years old, my dad took me into a Volkswagen dealership showroom and pointed to a blue Jetta turbo diesel and said, "If you do good your first couple years in college, I'll buy you that car." And I was like, what? It was an amazing opportunity. I did okay in college, and they did hold up their end of the deal. They bought me a brand new car when I was going into my junior year of college. And there was something about the long-term reward of that, the smartness on the diesel of that, and the way that car really felt to me, and what it opened up the whole world to me. I grew up on a tiny island in Alaska, and then I was released onto the interstate in a car that had incredible fuel economy, and I could go anywhere. I mean, I was driving thousands and thousands of miles a month. I was visiting everybody I knew in any state I could get to for a weekend. And I kept that car for a really long time, and I sold it for a really great price. It was one of the most fulfilling, though, purchases and things that I was able to enjoy for a big chunk of my life.
I'd have to say one of the best purchases I've ever made that has given me tons of value and fulfillment for the money would have to be my iPhone and my Mac computer, because I feel like they're my lifelines, especially with business as an entrepreneur and online. I'm always using my phone for working and making videos and pictures and everything. And then same with my MacBook. If I didn't have these two devices, I feel like I would be really lost. And so they're worth the money to invest in a high quality product. It's because that's where my marketing comes from.
One of the best purchases I've ever made that has given me tons of value and fulfillment for the money was going right back to my first high ticket coach. Very scary at the time, but it changed my whole trajectory.
That is a tricky one. I'm going to tie it back to business. And I would say in the amount of high ticket programs versus masterminds in which I have purchased over the years, there have been a couple masterminds, high level masterminds that I have joined that didn't necessarily pay off in monetary wise, but fulfillment wise, the friendships that I have made and the lessons that I have learned from those groups. I mean, some of my best business friends I have met through investing in masterminds.
One of the best purchases that has just gone above and beyond in value is a marketing coach and a VIP day that I had with her. So I have my marketing coach for 12 months, and it is just like finances and taxes are the part of business that most entrepreneurs hate. Marketing is the part that I hate. And so it just has paid off so much, from the strategy to the execution to just learning these things that I need to know as a business owner. And what's been really cool is that it allows me to connect with other women and make an impact in their lives. And it's just totally shifted my mindset around marketing.
There was a group of properties, 6 properties in Detroit, and it was on the edge of the city, almost starting to get into the suburbs, where you could do mixed use, right? It had this ability to do mixed use. 6 properties, almost all in a row. 4 in a row, and then a house skipped, and then 2 other properties that were there. So we had this house in between. We didn't have it, but there was a house in between. All of these properties were on the balance sheet of a bank. I had sent a couple of offers to the bank and said, I'll pay $6,000 for each of these homes and take them off your books. And they said no. And then I did it again a couple months later. I'll pay $6,000, take it off your books. Nope, not going to do it. So then I started saying, well, look, I'll pay you $3,000, because I started lowering it down. They were holding it on their books longer. I could see that the bank was in trouble. I'll give you $3,000 per property. Nope, we're going to take it. So I waited and waited and waited. And then the last offer that I made, I said, if you pay me $1,000 for each one of these properties, I'll take them off your balance sheet. They did it. I know. They did it. They did it. So I went to closing and got $1,000 back on each one of these properties, minus some of the closing costs. Of course, I did my due diligence. I made sure that there weren't, any bad taxes, or, there weren't any issues with the environment or anything like that. The best part is that we held one of the properties. We still have it now. We're not sure what we're going to do with it yet. We donated one of them to the Ronald McDonald House. I sold the other 2 to renovation, flippers, investors who are flipping the properties. And then I sold another one to, or another 2 of them to a small business. I think one was a dentist and the other was a karate shop. Karate shop, a place, where kids can go and learn karate. And so I had tax deductions, I had cash flow, I had charitable deductions, which was really cool. And, just one of the best and most fun purchases. Frustrating in the beginning, but fun at the very end.
The first thing I have to say is, you mean other than enrolling in your Financial Freedom Accelerator, right? Because that was absolutely a huge value to me. It is one of the best decisions that I have ever made. It is one of the reasons that I will continue to be part of the community, because money is a conversation, and it's one that has to keep going. And there are very few places where you can have a clean conversation around money. That's one of the reasons I'm excited about this conversation we're having here. One of the most powerful things that we can do as we take on responsibility for our money, but also take on leadership of our money, is being able to have those clean conversations around it, being willing and able to have the hard conversations, both about money and with your money. And yes, I do believe that you have conversations with money. But even going back to best purchases outside of the Financial Freedom Accelerator, it is always anything that comes back to me, that feeds me, that allows me to grow me, whether it's purchasing my Vitamix blender that I use almost daily, and who would have ever thought that you could spend that much money on a blender, and now I've become a blender snob. Investing in real estate that does lead me to the direction that I want to go, is property that I would be willing to live in myself. So what I would say is, for me, the best purchases I've ever made are always those things that come back to me.
Always have cash when the market is down so you can get good buys. And I bought a property that has really increased in value. My husband and I ended up building our own home. And we were very smart about how to separate the labor from the materials, and doing it in a time when other people were very hungry for work in the construction industry, and it's really paid dividends for us. It's really elevated my net worth.
FFA, financial freedom with Penelope, has been by far one of the best investments I've ever made, because it's been really in myself, an investment in me, along with the education and the skill and the support and the community that helps me stay accountable with my investing, helps me figure out questions. It's by far been the biggest game changer.
So I have a couple here. One that's a little shallow is, when I was in Peace Corps, I bought a pair of black, clunky sandals. This was in the late 1990s. And so they were fantastic. I wore them with everything. And I bought to go with them a pair of sunglasses with blue lenses that were cheap from a drugstore. I wore those two things in every outfit, in every photo that I have from that era. And I look great. I'm so glad I got them. So trust your instincts when something really, really catches your eye. And more substantial is we made an investment in a family home. When my son was little, we were visiting my mother-in-law in Arizona, flying out there from Chicago for every holiday. We would stay in her 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. My husband and I, my son and her. It's very cozy, but not very comfortable. And so we decided to take the rent that she was paying for her apartment and put it together, scrape some money together, and take our first leap into buying kind of an investment property that would also be a place she would live in year-round. We would visit it every Christmas, spend a couple weeks there, also in the summer. We had a pool in the backyard. It was fantastic for all of us to be together. It also brought a lot of value and fulfillment to the extent that it became kind of a home base for different family members that live in Arizona as they were either graduating or going through a tough time moving out of a relationship or changing jobs. So not only did it give us tremendous joy to all be together every holiday, but it also turned out to be a great place for the family to be able to have kind of a safe place to return to. And because I learned from earlier mistakes about investing in real estate, we bought at a good time at a pretty good price. And when we sold it just a little while ago, we got a good return on it. So that was a great one.
One of the best purchases I've ever made was actually a purchase that added on to my house. It was a swimming pool. And a lot of people say it's not a good investment because you never get it back. People don't really pay more because you have a pool. But where I live, not having a pool would put us at a disadvantage. So I don't know how that's going to pay off from the standpoint of financially, because we're not in the market to sell the house. But in our area, if you don't have a pool, it's really going to plummet your ability to sell the house. So I think it's going to be good from a financial standpoint. But the joy that we've had over the years, the pleasure I've had over the years, the exercise I've gotten to do, the parties we've had with friends and kids, and has been amazing. So it's one of the best things that I think we ever spent our money on.
One of the best purchases I ever made was a second home on a river. We go there every single weekend. We make memories with our children every weekend. My kids want all of their friends to come every weekend because you only get 18 summers with your kids. And after they get their license, age 15, age 16, their friends become more important. So if you still want them around, we invested in this property so that they would come back and they would bring their friends back. And now as my kids go on to college and then graduate college, they still want to be back by the river house. It's where they've made memories. It's where they want to come back to. And it's the best financial decision we've ever made.
One of the best purchases that I've made over time is the amount of money we've spent on travel and trips. Again, back when my parents were still alive, we would do trips on a pretty regular basis. We went to Hawaii as a family multiple times. We all throughout the US and various places. We've been to Mexico. Any money that we spent on those adventures, especially given that both my parents are gone now. And for my kids, their grandparents died when they were pretty young. I think they were only 9 and 11 when my dad died, their grandpa died, older, of course, when my mom died. So the money we spent on those trips and just creating those memories over time is definitely some of the best money that I've spent, for sure.
I love these stories because while saving and investing are important, spending money consciously is also a key part of a healthy relationship with money. If you loved hearing these women's stories, check the links in the description for all the movers and shakers you heard from today, plus some amazing free resources, including a complimentary ticket to Hustle to Harmony, how to build a business that runs without you. So for me, one of the best purchases I've ever made that has given me tons of value and fulfillment for the money is a pack of rocket balloons with a little balloon pump. I'd never heard of these until my dad brought some over to play with my kids, and they were so much fun. I had to buy my own. Rocket balloons are these long, colorful balloons that you blow up with a little pump, and when you let them go, they shoot through the air, making this hilarious squealing sound. You never know exactly where they're gonna fly, and that just makes everyone laugh even harder. So for less than $20, these silly balloons have brought us so much joy and laughter. Now, of course, some purchases are worth every penny, but others, not so much. So in the next video, we're flipping the question and sharing some of the worst purchases we've ever made. Click here to watch that one next, because you'll hear some funny stories, some painful ones, and plenty of lessons you can use to avoid wasting your own hard-earned money.